Have you ever wondered how long you could survive if you stopped working today? Not in dollars, but in time. That's how the rich think. Not in how much they make, but how long their money lets them live without working. And that, my friend, is the first red pill of financial freedom. Most people think wealth is about income. They think if they just make more, they'll be free. But that's a lie the system sold you. Because income is not freedom. It's a leash. Let's say you're the average engineer making $80,000 a year. Sounds solid, right? Now try saving 10% of that. That's $8,000 a year. Do the math, and you'll need over 125 years to save your way to just $1 million. That's assuming you never get sick, never spend a dime on life, and never miss a paycheck. In the meantime, your rent goes up, your car breaks down, inflation eats your savings alive. And what do schools teach you about money? Work harder, get promoted, buy a house, take on a mortgage, retire at 65. Pray it's enough. This is the hamster wheel most people are stuck in. And here's the truth no one told you. The poor and middle class work for money. The rich, they make money work for them. That's the first major lesson in Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. A book that doesn't teach you how to get rich quick, but how to stop being poor forever. Robert grew up with two father figures. One, a highly educated man who believed in safety, degrees, and traditional success. The other, a businessman who didn't finish high school but built an empire. His real dad, the poor dad, said things like, "We can't afford that," or "Money doesn't grow on trees." His friend's dad, the rich dad, asked, "Why not figure out how you can afford it?" That one shift in language changed everything. Because the first step to building wealth isn't saving more. It's thinking differently. Most people trade time for money. They work jobs they don't love, to buy things they don't need, to impress people they don't even like. Then they go into debt trying to maintain it. Rich Dad taught Robert something radical. Don't work for money. Work to learn. At just 9 years old, Robert started working for Rich Dad's business. And guess how much he got paid? 10 cents an hour. He hated it. But that was the lesson. If you only chase money, you become a slave to it. But if you chase skills, if you learn how money moves, how businesses operate, how assets grow, you eventually build something no paycheck can match. Financial intelligence. And with financial intelligence comes the one thing everyone secretly craves, but few ever achieve. Freedom. Let's get one thing clear. Your salary is not your safety. It's your biggest illusion. Because every paycheck is just a pacifier. A temporary reward to keep you from asking deeper questions. Like, why am I always broke, even when I make more? Why do I feel stuck, even with a job I once prayed for? It's not your fault. You were trained for this. By schools that never taught you money. By parents who passed down fear, not freedom. By a culture that glorifies spending but shames investing. And so we grow up chasing income, but never learning how money works. This is where Rich Dad delivers the second hard truth. It's not how much you make. It's how much you keep. And what you keep depends entirely on one thing. Whether you buy assets or liabilities. Most people don't even know the difference. So let's break it down. An asset puts money in your pocket. A liability takes money out. That's it. That's the whole game. Your house? Not an asset if it's eating your paycheck. Your car? Not an asset if it drains you every month with payments, gas, insurance. Your degree? Not an asset if it gave you debt but no returns. If you want to be rich, you need to stop collecting things and start collecting cash flow. Look at the financial statements of the poor, the middle class, and the rich. You'll see one pattern. The poor spend everything on expenses. The middle class spend most of their money on liabilities they think are assets. The rich, they pour money into assets. And those assets generate more money. And then that money buys more assets. It's a cycle, but only if you're on the right side of it. So what are real assets? A rental property that gives you passive income. A business that runs without you. Stocks that pay dividends. Digital products that sell while you sleep. Intellectual property like books or music. These are the machines of freedom. Each one puts dollars in your pocket, whether you're working or not. Poor Dad never understood this. He believed in saving and job security. But Rich Dad said something powerful. It's not the job that makes you rich. It's the money the job gives you and how you use it. So here's the real question. What are you doing with the money you earn? Are you buying things that trap you? Or are you building things that free you? If you want out of the rat race, you need to start building your asset column. $1 at a time. One smart move at a time. Because in the end, wealth is not about looking rich. It's about never being forced to trade your time for survival again. Lesson 3. Mind your own business. This doesn't mean be rude. It means stop spending your life building someone else's empire. Most people think they have a business, but really, they just have a job. They spend 40 years working for someone else, trading their time for a paycheck, then retire and hope their pension lasts. Rich Dad said, your job is your short-term solution, but your assets? That's your long-term freedom. Here's the trap. People confuse their profession with their business, but they are not the same. Your profession is what you do to earn a living. Your business is what you build to escape that profession. A doctor earns money from treating patients, but if she owns clinics, real estate, or investments, those are her businesses. A teacher earns income from teaching, but if he creates online courses, books, or royalties, those are his assets. So here's the brutal truth. The middle class focus on their income. The rich focus on their asset column. While everyone else is polishing their resumes, Rich Dad is building pipelines of income that flow whether he's awake or asleep. So how do you start? You build your asset column, one stream at a time. And once you earn from that stream, you don't spend it. You reinvest it to create another, and another. Think of every dollar as a tiny employee. Send those dollars out to work, not to party. Buy an asset, not a liability. A website that earns money, a dividend-paying stock, a piece of intellectual property, anything that puts money in your pocket, even when you're sleeping. This is why the rich get richer. Because once the snowball of assets starts rolling, it builds momentum. It no longer depends on your time, your labor, or even your presence. And suddenly, money is no longer the problem. Time becomes your greatest wealth. When you own assets, you own freedom. So don't just be a good employee. Be your own boss, even while you're working for one. But there's one silent partner in your financial life that most people forget: the government. Every year, millions of people spend their time working not for themselves, not for their families, but for the tax system. In fact, if you're an average employee in the United States, the first 2.5 months of your year, January through mid-March, go directly to the government. That means for nearly 70 days, you're working to pay taxes before you see a single dollar for yourself. Now multiply that over a 40-year career. That's almost 6 full years of your life dedicated solely to taxes. But here's the real kicker. The more you work, the more you earn, and the more they take. The system is designed to tax earned income the heaviest. So while you work harder, longer hours to climb the ladder, you're actually feeding a system that punishes effort and rewards strategy. Meanwhile, the rich, they don't just work hard, they work smart. They earn through assets, not paychecks. Dividends, capital gains, real estate, royalties, these are taxed differently, often at lower rates or with legal loopholes. That's why the wealthy don't complain about tax season. They've learned the game, and they've built systems that keep their money working and protect it from excessive taxation. As Robert Kiyosaki warns us in Rich Dad, Poor Dad, if you don't learn how money really works, you will always work for money, and someone else will always take the biggest slice. So how do you escape this trap? By doing what the rich do: mind your own business. This doesn't mean quitting your job tomorrow and launching a startup. It means shifting your mindset from being a passive earner to becoming an active investor. From focusing on your income statement to building your balance sheet. From trading time for money to letting money work for you. The rich understand a crucial truth. Income is fleeting, but assets are lasting. That's why they invest in businesses that run without them, properties that generate passive income, and intellectual property that continues to pay long after the work is done. Here's the key: start small, but start now. You don't need to be wealthy to begin. You just need to start thinking like someone who values financial independence more than job security. Start tracking your expenses. Learn what truly qualifies as an asset. Set a goal to acquire one cash-flowing asset in the next 6 months. It could be as small as a high-yield savings account, a stock portfolio, or even creating a digital product that earns passive revenue. Because financial freedom doesn't come from earning more, it comes from owning more. And as Robert Kiyosaki says, the rich focus on their asset columns while everyone else focuses on their income statements. So here's the truth they don't teach you in school. You don't have to be born rich. You just have to learn how the rich think. Wealth isn't about how much you earn. It's about how much you keep. It's about how many assets you build. And most importantly, It's about whether you work for money or money works for you. This is not a race to millions. It's a quiet rebellion, a choice to no longer be a slave to the paycheck, a decision to escape the rat race, and a path to financial freedom that anyone can start today. So ask yourself, are you building someone else's dream or your own? Because at the end of the day, the poor work for money, the middle class work for comfort, but the rich, they work for freedom.